The prosperity of the Osage Nation was a dazzling, disorienting anomaly in the economic landscape of 1920s America. To understand the murders, one must first grasp the depth of this wealth and the insidious mechanism created to control it, the guardianship system. In the eyes of the U.S. government, the Osage were wealthy beyond imagination, but fundamentally incompetent to manage their own affairs. This patronizing racist assumption was codified into federal law. Even full-blood Osage who were educated, sharp, and business-savvy were often assigned a white guardian, a local banker, lawyer, or businessman, to manage their substantial income from the oil head rights. The logic was simple. The funds were too vast for primitives to handle. The reality was a legal license to steal. A guardian would receive an allowance for managing the Osage ward's finances, ostensibly paying bills, arranging investments, and providing a stipend. But the system was a sieve. Guardians charged outrageous fees, steered money into their own failing businesses, and outright pocketed vast sums. They manipulated records, forged documents, and created a localized ecosystem of financial corruption that the state and federal governments either ignored or tacitly approved. This vast legal structure of theft was heinous enough, but it contained a sinister loophole, a fatal flaw that turned Osage money from a blessing into a curse: the inheritance of the head rights. The deadliest family tree. The Osage head right, the perpetual claim to a share of the tribe's massive oil royalties, was a financial treasure chest. It was decreed that these head rights could be legally inherited. If a white person married an Osage and that Osage spouse died, the head right often passed directly to the surviving partner. If a whole family was wiped out, the head rights could consolidate, creating an exponentially larger target. This legal clause was the true engine of the Reign of Terror. It transformed the guardianship system from simple theft into a cold-blooded motive for murder. The first whispers of something truly unnatural began not with a bang, but with a series of quiet, natural deaths. But it was the case of the Schoen brothers, physicians in the town, who frequently certified the deaths of wealthy Osage with vague, swift rulings that created the first deep anxieties. People died suddenly of wasting disease, unknown ailment, or sudden sickness. The case of Anna Brown. The first event that truly broke the local calm and signaled the coming storm was the disappearance and subsequent murder of Anna Brown in May 1921. Anna was a full-blood Osage woman, recently divorced, known for being lively, headstrong, and possessed of a valuable head right. On the evening of May 21st, she disappeared after a party. Her family was immediately alarmed. In the Osage culture, a disappearance was not simply an event. It was a profound spiritual violation. A few days later, a frantic search party found her body in a remote ravine near Fairfax, Oklahoma, an area thick with scrub and hidden crevices. She had been shot execution style, a single, clean bullet hole in the back of her head. The local authorities' reaction was dismissive. They pronounced her death the result of a drunken argument or a robbery. The local coroner, a man soon to be revealed as deeply compromised, filed a perfunctory report and closed the case. The Osage knew better. This was too clean, too precise. Anna's death was not an isolated act of violence. It was the opening salvo in the war for the Osage fortune. The immediate aftermath, the spiral of the Kyle family. Anna Brown was a member of the Kyle family, a full-blood lineage with multiple valuable head rights. The surviving members of her immediate family were Lizzie Q. Kyle, Anna's mother; Molly Q. Burkhart, Anna's sister, married to a white oil man named Ernest Burkhart; Minnie Smith, another sister, who had recently died in 1918 from a strange illness; and Rita Smith, the final sister, who was married to a white man named Bill Smith. The family was the direct inheritor of Anna's head right. The plot was simple. eliminate the Osage members of the family, and the remaining white spouses, or those connected to them, would consolidate the entire fortune. Lizzie Q. Kyle was the next to go. Less than 2 months after Anna's murder, Lizzie, who was still deeply mourning her daughter and suffering from diabetes, took ill. Her condition deteriorated rapidly. The symptoms, wasting, extreme pain, confusion, were officially ascribed to her diabetes, but the Osage suspected foul play, particularly given the swift decline. They were powerless to stop the official verdict. Lizzie's death was quiet, insidious, and terrifying. It was a poisoner's work, but it was signed off by a corrupt doctor and ignored by a compliant sheriff. The final most dramatic act in the Kyle family tragedy targeted Rita and Bill Smith. They lived in a large modern home, a testament to Rita's inheritance. On the night of March 10, 1923, an explosion rocked the reservation. Rita and Bill Smith's house was completely obliterated, flattened by a massive, expertly placed charge of dynamite. The Smiths were killed instantly, along with their white housekeeper. The destruction was so complete, so professional, that it was impossible to dismiss as a random event. This was the work of organized criminals. The Osage community was paralyzed. 4 members of a single prominent family were dead in less than 2 years. 1 shot, 2 poisoned, or died from mysterious ailments, and 2, plus a 3rd victim, obliterated by explosives. The killers were not distant bandits. They were neighbors, associates, and even family. The total value of the head rights consolidated by these deaths was staggering, an annual income stream in the millions. The local investigation, headed by a hapless and possibly corrupt county attorney, descended into chaos, misdirection, and incompetence. The Osage Nation had nowhere to turn. They sent an urgent, desperate appeal to Washington, D.C., directly to the Secretary of the Interior, detailing the pattern of deaths, the inaction of local law, and the terrifying realization that their wealth was literally killing them. They were not asking for sympathy. They were begging for survival. This plea finally reached the desk of J. Edgar Hoover, the young, determined acting director of the Bureau of Investigation. He knew this case could not be solved by sending in agents in suits. He needed a man who understood the brutal nature of hidden conspiracy. He chose Tom White.